use different techniques with awe-inspiring results, from dragons to shapeshifters. Join me as we take a look at 15 rare fireworks that look incredible. Number 15. The Dragon Firework. Most fireworks shoot up, go off, and then fizzle away. However, this dragon firework works a little bit differently. That's because after it's set off, the flames shoot out and then begin to dance around the sky, and they appear to race each other along twists and turns in a way that makes them look a lot like a flying dragon. Yet while these dragon fireworks are cool, they aren't all that easy to come by, so chances are you wouldn't be able to fire one of these off in your backyard. Number 14. The Fiery Eye. While there are various types of spinning fireworks, few are quite like the Fiery Eye, made by Brothers Fireworks. When launched, it starts out as a dark circle with spinning bands, and gradually these bands speed up until the firework looks exactly like an eyeball, as it has a black pupil, a blue iris, and a red border around the iris, and a white shooting effect around the iris to complete the eyeball look. If you launch two of them side by side, you have the makings of a cool yet somewhat creepy fireworks show. Number 13. Plane Fireworks. If you've ever been to an air show, then you've seen planes duck, dive, and flip all over the place. However, an Australian airplane firm by the name of HD Melbourne Aviation have taken things to a new extreme by creating fireworks that shoot out of their specialty stunt airplane, which is known as the Scandinavian Catwalk. The Scandinavian Catwalk went viral after it performed at the Aviation Air Show in Melbourne, and that's because as Sandstorm by Darude played in the background, it soared through the sky, shooting lasers and aerial fireworks all the while. As it did so, some of the fireworks were crazier than others, with a few appearing to engulf the entire plane in flames for long periods of time, making it look more like a shooting fireball than a stunt aircraft. So yeah, it's fair to say that these specialty fireworks truly are unique. Number 12. Loudest Firework. We can all agree that fireworks are pretty loud, with the sound often being compared to that of a gun being shot or a bomb going off, by being absolutely ear-shattering. And according to Epic Fireworks, which is the UK's largest online fireworks supplier, the Dum Bum 49 shot is easily one of the world's loudest. Given a noise rating of 10 out of 10, they give off, quote, intense, powerful blasts that can often be felt in your chest, end quote. If that's not enough power for you, Epic Fireworks even sells a Dum Bum noise pack that can bring the noise up to 11. Yet it's not a surprise, given that how loud these are, these crazy fireworks are rarely purchased for fireworks shows, making them truly a rare find. Number 11. Chocolate Fireworks. While this may sound a little crazy, on December 31st of 2002, the chocolate conglomerate Nestle kicked off the new year by setting off a chocolate firework. Measuring in at 3 meters in height and 1.5 meters in diameter, it contains 60 kilograms of Swiss chocolates and was released at the Hechtplatz in Zurich, Switzerland. When lit, it reportedly exploded and released all 60 kilograms of chocolate, and as such it attained the Guinness World Record for being the world's largest chocolate firework. Yet this chocolate firework leaves a few questions unanswered. After all, how in the world was it possible to heat up a firework to a temperature that was hot enough for it to explode, but cool enough not to melt all the chocolate inside? Unfortunately, we'll probably never know, as there appears to be no videos online that shows a recording of the event. Number 10. Fireworks Glasses. When you see a fireworks show, you can expect to see cool explosions, flashing lights, and bright colors. However, if you manage to find a special pair of 3D fireworks glasses, you can take your experience to a whole new level. Sold by American Paper Optics, these glasses have holographic diffraction grating lenses that break light into amazing rainbow bursts, and depending on the effect that you're looking for, you can try out different types of glasses. For example, while most of them allow you to see a rainbow spectrum of colors within the firework, some, such as the trippy diffraction glasses, have tie-dye frames and supposedly allow you to see a psychedelic string of colors. So if you want the fireworks experience of a lifetime, then I highly suggest trying to get your hands on some of these before the next major holiday. Number 9. Under Ice Fireworks. When you see a frozen lake, chances are that your first thought isn't to shoot fireworks at it. Yet in 2008, a group of Swedish guys looking for a good time created a viral video of themselves doing just that. In the video, they light several fireworks underwater and then watch as they travel under the ice and create a massive water explosion. While it may seem strange that fireworks don't go out if placed underwater, they manage to stay lit because of the combustion reaction occurring as the firework goes off. It provides itself with enough oxygen to stay alight. This is very similar to how spaceships are able to function, and despite being in the vacuum of space, the oxygen in their combustion compensates for their lack of oxygen in their surroundings. In any case, while this display is cool, it should be noted that firework explosions are magnified underwater, and they can also cause the local fish to die and then float to the surface. So while they may be cool, I wouldn't suggest setting them off at your local lake or pond. Number 8. Shapeshifters. Let's face it, most fireworks aren't all that memorable. After all, while they make a loud noise and produce a colorful explosion, most will more or less be forgotten in a few days. However, there are some fireworks that distinguish themselves from the rest by exploding into different shapes. You see, in order to make a shaped firework, all the individual firework casings have to be lined up into the desired configuration. For example, if they're placed in the shape of a smiley face, they should, in theory, create a smiley face. However, this sometimes isn't enough, as it can often be difficult to make sure they're consistent within your line of sight. That's because depending on what angle you're standing at, there's a good chance that the firework won't actually look like its intended shape. So, in order to prevent this from happening, pyrotechnicians will often ensure that all the fireworks in the sequence go off at the same time. This makes the shape the same from all angles and guarantees that the firework will be great. Number 7. Drone works. Drones have exploded in popularity in recent years, and it's not hard to see why. After all, they can do everything from providing fantastic footage to acting as a security detail. Yet it turns out that they aren't just putting photographers and security guards out of business. That's because reportedly drone light shows can make a great alternative to fireworks. While drone light shows are still quite new, they're beginning to become more popular because they're not only reusable but also don't produce the chemical or noise pollution caused by fireworks. In order for a drone to partake in such a show, it only has to be equipped with a good GPS and an LED light system, with some drones, such as those made by Intel, being able to produce more than 4 billion light combinations. However, to date, there are only a few dozen companies worldwide that have the proper permits, training, and technical skills and supplies to plan and carry out such a large-scale drone show. So while these shows may be rare, they're proving to be a lucrative industry moving into the future. Number 6. Long exposure fireworks. When filming fireworks, your phone camera is definitely a little bit limiting. After all, you need a professional DSLR camera in order to capture fireworks in this way. And while the upfront cost may be expensive, DSLRs allow you to get the types of pictures that few can ever claim to have in their photo album. Now, the first step to taking a long exposure firework picture is to mount your DSLR on a tripod. Then you've got to turn on long exposure noise reduction. Prepare your camera to a setting that produces the highest quality file size possible. Set the camera to an ISO of 200 or lower and have an aperture of about f11. Then, instead of choosing a shutter speed, set the camera to bulb or B, which allows you to keep the shutter open for as long as you desire. You then expose an entire fireworks burst while keeping the camera manually focused towards it. The end result is a shot that makes the fireworks look 3D. And given how this is impossible to see in real life, we'd say that these hard-to-produce firework pictures are usually far cooler than the real deal. Number 5. Underwater fireworks. Generally speaking, most fireworks we look at occur high in the sky. However, there are a couple of ways to create fireworks of sorts that are entirely produced underwater. The easiest way is through the use of some water, oil, and food dye. More specifically, the experiment involves putting room temperature water in one glass and oil with different colors of food coloring that are very lightly mixed inside another. Once the 2 cups are ready, you have to pour the oil into the water glass. And because they don't mix, the oil remains on top with the food coloring. Then, slowly, the food coloring drops begin to fall out of the oil suspension and into the water, creating a colored underwater fireworks show. If you want to see some more heavy-duty underwater fireworks, then you'll have to mix some more heavy-duty substances. More specifically, if you mix distilled water, 100 milliliters of bleach solution, 10 milliliters of hydrochloric acid, and 2 to 3 pebble-sized pieces of calcium carbide, you can create a reaction where underwater sparks that look like fireworks begin to occur as these different parts mix together. Yet, unless you get all the timing just right, it's difficult to pull these crazy fireworks off. Don't forget to wear your safety goggles. Number 4. The Catherine Wheel. While Catherine wheels are some of the oldest fireworks out there, you usually don't see them at your typical fireworks show. Essentially, Catherine wheels are usually powder-filled spiral tubes that look a lot like wheels, and when ignited, not only create sparks and flames, but also rotate quickly in order to create an incredible spinning motion. While these fireworks may seem pretty advanced, they actually first came about all the way back in 1761. This perhaps explains why they have a name that is very Christian in origin. You see, the Catherine wheel was named after St. Catherine of Alexandria, who, after being condemned to death and ordered to be crushed by a massive wheel, allegedly managed to avoid this terrible torture by touching the wheel, which caused it to miraculously fall to pieces. Now, while you don't need to worry about your Catherine wheel falling to pieces, they are sometimes avoided due to their potential to spin out of control if not set off properly. Yet that hasn't stopped professionals from trying to make these wheels as massive as possible. To date, the largest Catherine wheel was made by Lilly Fireworks Factory in Malta in June of 2011. It comes in at a total of 32 meters in diameter. The whole thing was freestanding and managed to complete a total of 4 rotations using its own propulsion. Yeah, this crazy firework was pretty incredible. Number 3. The homemade Roman candle. Roman candles are relatively small and will let off a long, bright plume of light. However, in 2016, a Ukrainian man by the name of Yuri Yaniv decided to make a massive Roman candle that was like no other. In order to make his crazy homemade creation, he collected 10,000 sparklers and then lined them together in a massive drum garbage bin that was lined with aluminum foil. Then, after lighting a small wooden fuse that lit up multiple sparklers at once, the 50-kilogram firework went off. The result was a firework that, over the time span of about 30 seconds, launched a massive flame plume into the sky, making it pretty impressive considering the fact that it was made in Yaniv's garage. According to Yaniv, quote, "Everything about the video was pretty dangerous, so we had to be extremely careful of what we were setting up. One wrong move and it could have gone off, blown out," end quote. Despite the initial problems, I think the massive height of the flame and the fact that the whole thing continued to burn for 2 hours afterwards indicates that the firework launch was a massive success. Number 2. The world's largest firework. You won't find a 1,000-kilogram firework at your local party store, making these massive fireworks exceptionally rare. Yet when it comes to pure size and mass, there is no firework in the world that is quite like the one set off at the Steamboat Springs Winter Carnival in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Set off on the night of February 9, 2020, its weight of over 1,200 kilograms and length of 157 centimeters in diameter handed it the Guinness World Record for being the world's largest aerial firework shell, as it edged out a 1,087-kilogram firework that was launched in January of 2018 in the UAE. Now, this massive firework was created by a team known as Steamboat Fireworks, which is led by a fireworks enthusiast and pyromaniac named Tim Borden, and the team had to go through quite a lot in order to break the record. Steamboat Fireworks began its work in 2017 when they launched a shell that was 122 centimeters in diameter, with this being recognized as the largest shell ever in the Western Hemisphere. Then in 2019, they attempted to fire off an 1,100-kilogram firework, yet this ultimately failed to launch off the ground. However, in 2020, they successfully launched their record-breaking firework, which, according to Tim Borden, was only possible after they invested hundreds of hours into the project. However, given how impressive the final result was, I'd say that the time commitment was totally worth it. Number 1. Blue fireworks. While you've almost certainly seen your fair share of red, orange, green, and yellow fireworks, chances are that you've never seen a blue one. And that's because from a scientific standpoint, these fireworks are extremely difficult to manufacture. Now, to understand why, you need to understand the basics of around how fireworks function. The majority of fireworks have 5 main ingredients: fuel, coloring agent, glue, fuse, and pellet. More specifically, the fuel is usually gunpowder, and the coloring agent is usually some sort of salt-based chemical compound. And in order for a firework to go off, all of these components have to be glued together, put into a pellet, and then lit with a fuse so they can be fired off. Now, when it comes to the coloring agent, most colors are pretty simple. After all, you can use sodium salts to create yellow, strontium salts for red, aluminum salts for gray, and barium salts for green. However, while copper chloride should theoretically produce blue, it doesn't always work out. That's because if the temperature gets too hot, the blue-producing chemicals in the copper chloride begin to break down and fade away. While alternatives such as arsenic were used in the past, regulators have put a lid on the use of such dangerous elements, and to this day, scientists still haven't found a commercially viable and safe way to create blue fireworks. This is made worse by the fact that there's not much incentive to make them. After all, since the sky is often some shade of blue, blue fireworks are hard to see in both the daytime and nighttime sky. So, while there are technically some extremely expensive blue fireworks out there, chances of you finding some without special connections are slim to none.